Welcome
Hey,
back.
everybody. Hey, everybody.
Hi. Welcome back.
This is Lisa.
And Faith.
And you're listening to the Vet on This or That
Or that.
podcast.
Yes, this is a podcast, which is a potpourri of shit. Not just the shit that we have gone through in transitioning. We are just two veterans just transitioning through life after coming back from Iraq or deployment 20 years ago. So,
Uh.
yeah, we're here to talk about shit.
And you
A
look at us and
potpourri of
like
it.
20 years ago, what y'all doing when y'all was 10? Stop.
You don't look like what you've been through. You don't
Thank
look like what
God.
you've been through.
Thank God.
Thank you,
Thank God.
Lord.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yes, yes. What are
So
we talking about today, Lisa?
today we are talking about family, family,
Family,
family,
friends
friends and
and
family,
family
and
and.
yes, we are family. And
Mm, 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 mm.
I got one of my sisters with me.
Hey, hey, hey.
We are. Y'all didn't know y'all was gonna get a free concert out of this too. See
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
that karaoke I was telling y'all about. If you checked out the first podcast, that's that karaoke I was telling you about. Yes, we're talking about friends and family and transitioning, not the
Yeah.
transitioning. So if you follow the podcast, so we started off with talking about ourselves in the military, right? So and then if you followed through, the second episode
Yes.
talked about us transitioning. Now we're going to talk about how our transitioning, coming back from Iraq, coming back from overseas and deployment, how our families received us.
Yes.
So, ooh, good stuff, good stuff. So,
Wicked.
Lisa, now you
Ooh.
have a husband. Oh, you had a
I had
husband.
my husband
Had a
passed
husband.
away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Condolences. You had a husband and you have four beautiful children that I've met,
Yes.
my nieces and nephews that I love so
Yes.
much. So, what was that like in transitioning from
Ooh.
Sergeant Lisa to, I'm sorry, Sergeant Crutch to Lisa to mom
Yeah.
to
Mm.
wife? So, how was
Mm.
that transition? Talk to me
Mm.
about that a little bit, and I'll tell you about my story.
First of all, when I left to go, when we found out that I had to go to Iraq, my family was a little upset. They were sad. They were confused. Like they had questions for me that I didn't even have answers to, you know?
Mm,
So that was a lot on
yeah,
children and a marriage and just my family, my siblings, my
yeah,
dad, and
yeah.
my dad, and they couldn't understand it because they like, I have other siblings. I'm the youngest of six kids, and I'm
Mhm,
the only girl that went to the military. I have two other brothers. One was in the army and one was in the air force, and they
mhm,
hadn't went to a war, and so they couldn't
mm,
understand like how my baby sister, why she got to go to a war,
mm.
like Uncle Sam specifically said, when Lisa joins the army, we're going to war. Like,
Did she sign up yet? No, not yet. We gotta wait.
right. But but when I came home, that was right when I left. But when I came home, I think my family was they were very excited. They were
Mhm,
excited. They were grateful.
mhm.
Um, they assumed that I was okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they could wrap their minds around the fact that I had injuries. And the
Mm.
injuries that I have are invisible wounds.
Invisible.
And the
Mhm.
invisible wounds, in case you don't know, that's my TBI, my
Mm.
PTSD,
Mm.
my knees. That's not visible.
I'm sorry. Ding, ding,
Well,
ding. Topic. That's another topic that we're gonna set up for.
yeah,
No,
yes.
talk about it. Talk
Well,
about it. But
yeah,
ding, ding, ding. That's gonna be a
yes.
topic for
So
yes,
I have
yes.
injuries to my knees, my finger. I said the last podcast, if you guys have been listening and following us, my head had hit a windshield in an accident I had over there, and it seared off, it tore off, broke off my olfactory nerve. It's just in your head, your brain,
Mhm.
and it helps you to smell. So when I came home, it was trying to and I'm using the word trying
Mm.
to get them to realize that I had memory issues and things like that.
Mhm.
It was a process. And when I tell you this, they didn't want to believe it because I think it was hard for them to wrap their mind around that something could be wrong with me. But they
Yeah.
didn't really know I didn't know what a lot of it was. So, they
Mhm.
didn't know what it was. And just like me, they wanted their mom back. They wanted the old Lisa back. They wanted,
Yeah,
but I couldn't give them what they wanted.
absolutely.
So me returning home, and listen, when I was overseas, I was like you, Faye. I couldn't wait to come back to the States. I wanted to come home, see my family,
Yes.
but when I got home, honestly, that first night, I wish I was back in Iraq. Like I
Mhm,
was more,
mm,
I was more,
mm,
I was more, of course we were on high alert in a hostile environment fighting in a war,
mhm,
but I think I was on more high alert when I was home because I didn't have a
mm,
weapon. I didn't have my battle buddies with me.
mm.
I didn't think anybody had my six. Like it was difficult. So I couldn't function that way, but I know for them, it was a process,
Yes.
and a process that I don't even think that they were willing to accept or go
Yeah,
through at the time. So
yeah.
my family, coming home, like I said, they were excited. They were grateful that I was back. They were so excited that I had both my arms and my legs, my eyes was intact. They were just
Mhm,
happy about that.
mhm, but it's
And
the emotional.
exactly. And that what they didn't know about that, they didn't care about that. They
Mm.
just their thing was they had me back at home.
Physically, you were here,
Physically, I
they
was
could
they
feel
could
you, they could see
exactly,
you. Yes, yes,
exactly.
yes,
But they
yes,
didn't
yes.
they didn't realize that that person that was standing before them was not the same person that left
Mhm.
over a year ago.
That
And
transition.
I didn't even
Mhm,
know how to transition my way back. So I couldn't really explain
mhm.
myself. I felt like I was fighting a war with them too at a certain extent.
Yes, yes, and not only just you, like, fighting, a war with them in a sense, but the war within you.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So I'm fighting a war within me. I'm trying to fight this war with them to try to make them see that, half the stuff that I was saying and doing, I was still acting and responding to my way of life in a foreign country.
Yes.
I wasn't
Yes.
acting in the way that I should again as a civilian because I didn't know how to transition from Sergeant Crutch. I was still in Sergeant Crutch mode for
Mhm.
years, still in
Mhm.
Sergeant Crutch. And my
Mhm.
family, like one of the things when I came back, I lost a lot of my memory. Well, my doctor said I didn't lose it. I just filed it back, like say my
Mm.
brain is like a file cabinet, and I
Mhm.
filed it back. And
Mhm.
everything that happened to me in Iraq is in the front of the file drawer. And I
Mm.
need to figure out how to get the stuff in the back to the
In the
front and the
back.
stuff in the front to the back.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and so when I explained to them, they were talking, my family, my kids and my husband was talking about, some trips we had went on, and I couldn't engage in the conversation because I
Mm.
felt like I wasn't there. And so
Yes.
they were like, "What do you mean you weren't there? You weren't there. Don't you remember?" And I'm like, "I don't remember." So it got frustrating to them to the fact that they had to go get pictures. And I can see me
Mm.
as clear as day, Faith, in the pictures at
But
this
you couldn't
certain events, but
couldn't put your finger on it.
I couldn't, it's like me looking at my face, but that's not me. Like I don't
Wow.
remember. And
Wow.
once I start saying, to my husband that I don't remember, it was almost like an attack on my
Mm.
character. Like, what do you mean you don't remember? And then I got defensive. And I'm like, well, you trying to call me a
Mm.
liar? So
Mm.
then, so Sergeant Crutch really ain't going nowhere because Sergeant Crutch right now is in full effect. Like, you calling me a liar? So now we got a problem.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
felt like I was fighting this war within me, like you said, and fighting a war with them to
Yes.
try to prove to them that this
Mhm.
is what's going on with me without
Mhm.
really knowing what was going on with me myself.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, the family, that right there was really difficult. I'm glad to say that it's not like that now, and
Yeah.
I only say that because I do a lot of speaking engagements again for Wounded Warrior Project. Shout out to Wounded Warrior Project.
Shout out to the Wonder Warrior Project.
Headquarters is in Jacksonville, Florida, people, but I give a lot of credit to Wounded Warrior Project because, like I said, they helped me a lot
Mhm.
with myself and with my family. They helped me a lot. So like I said, my family, that was that process was really difficult also. It
Yeah.
was, but I'm grateful that it's 1,000% better. Like we're on
Absolutely.
track. We're where
Thank
we're
God.
supposed to. Everybody knows. And it had gotten to the
Yeah.
point where when they start getting on board and, going to some doctor's appointments with me and realizing
Mhm.
that, this is real, what I'm going
Yeah.
through. And if
Yeah.
I could be at home and if I didn't feel a certain type of way, because, I'm still transitioning, and I
Yeah.
said something, they
Mm.
were like, Mom, you took your medicine, you took your meds. Like, don't play with me. Like, that's the first thing they come, Mom, you took your meds. And then I gotta think. Look, then I gotta think.
Wait, did
Then I
I?
gotta, go on a room and look at the thing with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to see about, because I
You
don't
gotta go in
remember
and
if I
you
took
gotta
it.
go in and count them like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
That's my life, people.
I know that's right. I know
So
that's
so
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
the family, that wasn't easy either. It
Yeah.
wasn't easy
Yeah.
either, but we're good now. So yeah. And
That's
so
great. That's
I'm
great.
hoping that your experience, I'm quite sure it was similar, but I hope it wasn't as bad as mine.
No, 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 no. I didn't get the TBI.
Right.
I didn't have a TBI. My situation somewhat parallel to yours. I think what my family's concern was that, oh, well, again, they were happy that I was back, and on top of that, can I just say shout out to my brother and sister because all three of us were deployed at the same time.
They sure
Okay.
were.
Sure were.
They
We were all
sure
in the
were.
military together. Shout out to my sister Amanda. Shout out to my brother Seth. We were all deployed at the same time. Actually,
Now,
some of us
now,
were
not to
overseas.
change the subject real quick, but to change the subject. I didn't get to see Seth when we were in Iraq, but I sure
No,
did
I
see
didn't get to see him
Amanda.
either.
Oh, you didn't see
I
her?
didn't get to see him.
Okay.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no,
But
no,
we
no.
saw Amanda.
Yeah, yeah. We did see Amanda.
We
Shout out to my
saw
sister
Amanda,
Amanda
yes.
Spiker. But but yeah. So coming back home, I was the first to come back home. My family excited that I'm back. To touch, to see, to feel, just the
Mm-hmm.
fact that my presence was there and everything. What was crazy was the thing that I did was as soon as I got back, as soon as we landed in Newark Airport, and we got to I got home, my best friend picked me up. Shout out to Tim, rest in peace. Um,
Oh, I missed
he
him.
picked me up. Yeah, I missed him too. He picked me up. And the first thing we did, as soon as we got back to the house, was I changed my clothes, I got out of my travel clothes, and I went straight to church. That was the first thing I did.
Look at
First thing I did.
you.
Yes. It was like
Let
I
the
got home
church
just in
say
time to go. Got home in time. It was a Thursday. I
amen.
remember it was a Thursday. It was a
Eh.
Thursday. I remember it was a Thursday, and it was Bible study. So the first thing I did was
Wow.
go straight to Bible study because I
I
was
didn't
so
go to church when I got
yes.
home. I was messed up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was excited to be just in church. So that was
Oh,
the
that's
first thing I
good.
did. So like a lot of people just stop me and ask me like, "Oh, how was everything? How was everything?" And that's where the trigger happened. It's like, how was everything? How do you explain that? How do you tell them what you felt? And all I could say
Ooh,
was, it was
it
hot.
was fine. It was hot.
It was hot. It
Hot
was
as
hot. Well,
hell.
how is everything like out there? Did they want you there? Did they not want you there? Eh, it was mixed emotions, but it was hot. So that's what it was for me to explain to them that,
Well, at
trying to
least that's what
explain.
you got.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the thing was, is to go back, is to, right, to tell them what happened was for me to relive
Right.
everything that happened. So it was hard. And again, I felt closed off to my church family, to my biological family. And the only people I could really talk to were my brother and my sister
Because they
because we were
knew.
there and we
Yeah,
understood
absolutely.
what was going on.
Yes.
And of course, you and Amber
Right.
and Diana, like,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. I could talk to anybody who's in the military. I could talk to them about it. So I found myself looking for people in the military to talk to
Hmm.
because I knew I could talk to them.
Right.
And anybody who didn't understand just didn't understand. So because my lingo was different, everything was like military lingo, like um dress right dress,
Yes.
uh sit, get my
Say
six,
again.
got
I
say
still
again,
say again, say again. Instead
negative.
of saying
That's
what
an,
you say, negative.
that there's a negative
That's
soldier.
never gonna go nowhere.
Hey, like even when I say my battle buddy, they're like,
Yeah.
"What is a
What
battle
is
buddy?" Like
that?
what is that? How do you explain battle buddy? Like,
Eh,
I can't even say, "Oh, that's my friend." So
no.
it was like, yeah, and it was such a strange time warp for me. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand that they didn't understand,
Did you
you
ever
know?
did you ever feel when you got home, did you ever have a feeling like, damn, I'd rather be in Iraq. Like I want to go back to Iraq. I don't want to be here. Like this place
Yeah.
is not
Some
like
like, I wanted military life again.
yeah,
I wanted that full-time military life again. I
yeah.
wanted to but I also did not want the full-time military life because I'm like, I knew there was structure. I knew there was, like, the end result of my day, like, what my
Mm-hmm.
day was going to look like. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? But then coming home and then, "Okay, now I gotta find a job. Now I gotta find
Mm.
this. Now I gotta find that. I gotta pay for rent." I mean,
Yeah.
I stayed on unemployment for a while until I found a job. Actually went back to school to get my certification as an audio engineer and stuff like that, and then I went and got a job in was it video conferencing and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
See
Then left.
what people don't realize too, or they don't understand is that a lot of us that when we left to go overseas to this war, a
Mhm.
lot of us had regular jobs.
Mhm.
And some of us, not myself, I worked for the city of New York, so I kept my job. They couldn't do anything but keep my job waiting for me.
Mhm.
But a
Mhm.
lot of you guys had to resign or they were gonna
Mhm.
fire you, you had to go, all that
Mhm.
stuff. So when you came back, you had struggles just like I did, may not be the
Yeah.
same struggles. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about coming back and finding a job or paying,
Mhm.
I didn't have
Mhm.
those, but you still had struggles and things you had to do when you came back nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
and
no,
it's and
absolutely.
it and I say that to say this, it's so ridiculous to me that we go to a war and we fight. And yeah, we volunteered for it.
Mhm.
But to come back and have
Mhm.
to struggle in
Mhm.
any way, shape,
Yeah.
form, or
Yeah.
fashion
Yeah.
is, I can't digest that. Like,
Mm.
I don't
Mhm.
understand. Not
Mhm.
that you should be handed something because you did
No,
something
no,
so
absolutely
reckless,
not.
but
Absolutely not.
you didn't just say, hey, later for y'all, I'm out of here, getting on the finger, I don't want to work for y'all anymore, I'm going to the war. No, you had a duty.
No,
And
no,
it's
yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah,
and you know what? And I'm gonna take that word of job away because I know we said that before. It is our job, but we had a
yeah. A
duty to
duty.
our
Mhm.
country.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
had a duty. We wasn't calling out for the 15th time and say my Aunt
No,
Maggie died.
no,
You know what I'm
no,
saying?
no, 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 no,
We had
no,
a duty to our
no.
country that we were going to be going for 500. Can y'all listen to this?
Hear me out.
545 days is what our
Mhm,
order said we were going to be in
mhm,
Iraq for.
mhm,
545 days. So you mean to tell me my employer looks at this because we get a government letter saying what's going on. We get all this stuff so you can take it to your job. You mean to
mhm.
tell me I show this to my employer and I gotta find a job when I come back home after fighting in a war?
You would think that,
I have
they
a
were just gonna
problem with that. I
yeah,
have a real problem with that.
but Imma say this, Imma say this, shout out to, shout out to veteran services for, helping those out who
Yes,
wanted to go back to school,
yes.
who wanted to
And
find a job. Shout out to those. Shout out to
I was one of those people who when I came back my job was waiting for me, but I
mhm.
also I went to this thing called Voc Rehab that the VA had
Voc
set
rehab.
up.
That's what yep,
And
yep.
I went back to college, and in 2013, I graduated with my oldest daughter, with Tiara. We
Mhm.
graduated college together, so I got my college
Ooh, yay.
degree thanks to Voc Rehab, which is a
Voc
part of the
rehab.
VA.
Yes,
And I know a lot
yes.
of people, and I don't mean to go off track. We are talking about family, and
Mhm.
um, you guys may not think this, but the VA is part of my family because I'm a
Absolutely,
disabled veteran.
absolutely,
So we still
absolutely.
talk about family here. The VA, I know a lot of people have a lot of issues with the VA. And
Mhm,
I've heard their stories, people have contacted me. and I do my best and try my best to help as much as I possibly can, but it's
Yes.
just me. I don't work for the VA. I know somebody that does, but they work in Phoenix. I know maybe one or two people here, I'm not sure, but I've always was able to get and do whatever it is at the VA. The VA
Yeah.
has always been on point where I am
Mhm.
concerned. I guess I
Mhm.
happen to be just one of those lucky people, but a lot of people, they don't have a good they have the VA has not been nice to them.
Yeah, some of them don't get
So
a good experience with the VA.
yes, and
And
and I wish that we can figure out a way as a
yeah,
whole to stop that,
yeah,
to
yeah,
figure out a way what we can do, because all veterans, I'm not just
yeah,
talking about the ones who went to Iraq, I'm talking about all veterans, and
yeah.
people don't realize that going to a war doesn't make you a veteran. You just have to be in the
Mhm.
military for or orders for 181 days or
81
more.
days.
That's
There,
what
there,
makes you a
there
veteran.
you have it. There you
Because
have it. But
people think that, oh, I'm not a veteran. I didn't go to a war like you. No, you don't have to go to a
no,
war to be a
no,
veteran, sweetie.
no, no,
No.
no, no, no.
I,
What I will say, sorry
no, go ahead.
to. But I will say that when I went to the VA and I was trying to look for help, trying to look for resources, somebody explained it to me and as perfectly as they could, and I hope this helps folks understand as well that the VA is a wealth of resources. I mean,
Yes.
like they have so many resources in
Yes.
there. Let's call it a fishbowl, okay? You have a fishbowl, and in that fishbowl are these little folded up
Pieces of
papers,
paper.
and on each paper is a resource, different
Mhm.
resources. So now imagine that you have a million resources inside this fishbowl. If I, as a VA rep, and I'm not, if I, as a VA rep, took that fishbowl and just poured it in your lap and you had to sift through all these resources, you would
Wow.
be overwhelmed by the
Wow.
amount of information that
Yes.
is afforded to you. So, what the VA does is like they put their hand in and they pull out a handful of resources and they go through it with you and they
Hmm.
look at what it is that they think you may need. So you
Right.
try these resources out for a little bit. If it whatever doesn't work for you, they go back into that fishbowl and maybe pull out a few more resources and say, okay,
Absolutely.
that didn't work for you. Look, well, let's look at this one over here. Okay, this may be a better fit for you, but it's a trial and error, if you want to think about it like that, in terms of
Right.
how they help veterans, because again they can't throw everything at you because you would be so overwhelmed. You'd be like, I don't want to deal with the VA no more. But you
Right.
don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to allow them to help you. Now, I'm not saying your experience is going to be the best experience in the world. I
Right.
know mine wasn't the greatest, but mine was good. I
Okay.
like that I had the support of the
That's
VA
good.
in the
That's
process
good.
of um getting through transitioning, getting through speaking with somebody. Shout out to my therapist, because I do have one, and
Everybody
I
should
promise
have a
you, yes,
therapist.
and I meet with her. Like I'll have ups and downs in emotions and stuff like that, and
Yes.
she has definitely come through and talking to me. Shout out to my life coach. She is no longer my life coach. She moved away, but shout out to Rebecca Sloan. Love you,
Hi,
girl. Miss
Rebecca.
Love you, miss you. She was my rock. She was my rock when I was
Oh,
going through school and I had like with PTSD you have like an emotional setbacks, like you have
yes.
emotional like overwhelming
Yes.
feelings that
Almost like hot flashes, ladies.
yeah, we're not touching on that topic right now. Menopause, ding, 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 a topic for another time. Okay. But she was my emotional rock. I remember one time, and we talk about family, and what I mean by friends and when we talk about friends and family in this particular podcast is the support. And
Yes.
this is what we ask for from our families is the support. And
The
she was one
support.
of the people, yes, she was one of the people that, like, when I was going through it, emotionally going through it, she would stop. She would be like, she would put up that stop sign and say, okay, take a minute, stop what you're doing, take a
Uh-huh.
breath. What is it that you need? And when
Oh,
I
wow.
could not speak, when I
You
could
could
not, and all,
articulate it. Yeah.
yes, and nothing but tears was coming down my eyes, and I just couldn't be. She was just like, "All right, all right, all right. Take a breath. Stop
Wow.
everything. Shut your
Yes.
mind down. Take a breath. Get back, to self and everything." And I promise you, once she did that for me, and I was able to breathe a little bit and just like, okay. And I, after the snotting and the slobbing and, and I was able to stop my brain for a minute because that was a PTSD coming through. Because PTSD is,
Yes.
I tell you, it's like a wave of emotion that just comes through at one time that
I
kind of
told
knocks
you.
you down.
It's like
And
hot flashes.
when I had that meltdown, she was just like, "Okay, well, take a minute, figure out what it is that you want to say." And I was able to tell her what it is, convey to her what it is that was going on in my emotion. She was just like, "And that's fine. It is okay to not be okay.
Yeah,
So take."
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back again to what I was saying. What we talk about when we talk about friends and family, like they understand that we are coming back, but we needed to let them know that
Yes.
we needed a support from them. We are
You know,
transitioning back, and we need their support
right.
at a certain point. Go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
I used to tell my family all the time that, and I use this in my in some of my speeches too, because
Mhm,
it resonates with me, of course, and of course with the people I think that I'm speaking to. I always tell them, and I try to do it in a calm way, but it is so meaningful to me because I have so much passion behind it. And I
mhm,
always tell them, just because I look okay doesn't
mm,
mean that I am.
mhm.
Just
Absolutely,
because I look okay, it doesn't mean that I am.
absolutely. And you know
So,
what's crazy? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
no,
sorry.
you go ahead. No, no, no. Go
Oh no.
ahead. Go
You know
ahead.
what's crazy? Because when I came back home, right, I remember this distinctly. I had joined the ministry, right?
That
That's
happened
funny.
because you, when you got off the
True.
plane from Iraq, she went straight to
Straight
church.
to church.
Next thing you
So
know,
I'm gonna talk about
past
it anyway. Like it,
past the faith.
yeah, anyway. I had joined the ministry. I joined the dance ministry, right? And I think I should have really, really pumped the brakes and waited to have joined any type of ministry because I really wanted to flush out Iraq. I wanted to
Mhm.
flush out emotions and everything. And I remember I was going through something. I was going through something really heavy, and I couldn't pinpoint what was happening in just emotionally in my mind. And I ended up just like not withdrawing from the ministry altogether. I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Wow.
And I remember somebody came up to me and she said that I wish we could have the old faith back. And I really wanted to just tell
Wow.
her, if you
Wow.
if you knew
Wow.
what I had to go through, you wouldn't ask for the old faith. You'd be happy for the new faith.
The
You'd be
old
happy.
faith doesn't live
Yeah,
here anymore,
she don't live
people.
here no more. She doesn't live
The
here anymore.
old
And
faith doesn't live here anymore.
exactly, exactly. And I wish I knew how to convey that to her. I just didn't know how. I was an emotional wreck.
I
And
know, girl. I know.
but but what we ask for from our friends and families is that, when you if you have somebody in the military, you know, um don't ask for the old person back because that person no longer exists. Because what we went through from the time we got there, 545 days, you say?
5:45.
500
Yeah.
545 days later coming back here, what we needed was the support,
Hmm.
and we needed to hear the words, "You're okay. It's okay to not be okay, but you're going to be okay."
I don't think
And
they
just
knew, Faith. I don't think they
no,
knew. They, you know
because we
what?
didn't know. We didn't
we
know how
didn't
to tell them.
we didn't know, we didn't have any
Yes,
guidance, and the
absolutely.
military dropped the ball on demobbing us
Yes.
and
They
giving
should
us
have been
the stuff,
demobbing our families
and
as
don't
well.
exactly had our
Yeah.
family in some classes of some sort
Yeah,
because we
your
didn't
soldier is about
know.
to come home. Your family member is about to come home. We
Absolutely.
need you to come to this training, to this class, to let you know what has been going
What
on
you're
with them.
dealing with, what you're going to be
Exactly,
dealing with, because
exactly,
but
exactly.
I think
Mhm.
I think they do better now. And later,
Yeah,
later
yeah,
on
yeah.
in another podcast, we're gonna have our other two friends, Amber and Diana,
Mhm.
on. And Diana is still, she's still in the
In the
military. I think
military.
she's
Yeah,
21,
yeah,
22 years or something.
yeah.
She is an E7 now. Shout out the
Shout
Sergeant
out to
First
Diana.
Class
On
Davila.
first,
Sergeant
yes,
First
on
Class.
first class. Son,
She
first class
yeah, and
Diana.
this is funny. I don't want to tell her story, but she's still in the military and she works for the military. I mean, she
Absolutely.
works for the military by being in it, but she's a civilian working in the military, and then
Mhm.
she's a soldier in the military. If that makes
Military.
sense to you
Yeah.
guys.
She'll tell her story. We shout out to
Yes,
Diana. We're gonna
yes.
have her
Shout
on
out
the
to
show.
Diana.
And we're
Um,
gonna have our
mm,
podcast to talk more about what she does and how she
mm,
transitioned
yes, we
from one
will.
to another.
And
Yeah.
just so you guys know, Faith always says it at the beginning of our show, that this is a potpourri of shit. Meaning we talk
Yeah.
about any and everything. I don't want you
Yeah.
guys to ever think that we only talk about military stuff. What we're doing
No.
now is because this is our first podcast. This is part episode 3, and we want to give you guys an insight on who we are and what
Mm,
we've been through. And if you guys need help with anything, if we can, we're going to try our best to help you because we have some resources.
mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but we're going to be talking about anything and everything.
Yeah.
If you guys have something you want us to talk about,
Yeah.
we're going to have our email address at the bottom of these podcasts, and you can email us and things like that. And be
Mm.
patient with us because we're just getting started,
we
and
not
it
we
will
not
get
as
better.
tech savvy. We're tech savvy enough. Trust me, we're tech
Yes,
savvy enough. But we just
yes,
not this new millennium tech savviness. Like, give us a
absolutely.
minute. Give us a minute.
So,
So yeah, so with that, I want to just jump into this segment of no good and no better. This
no
is my
good and no better.
better. This is something that we came up to dialogue just to give you a wrap up of what our podcast is about. So no good and no better. Just if you know good for yourself, you know better to do in the next in the next step of life. But if you don't do good for yourself, you can't do better for yourself later on in
Right.
life. So I say this to say that our no good and no better for today is support. Okay, so
Wow.
family friends and family are like bras or jock straps.
What?
Bras or jock
Explain.
straps. Explain.
Explain.
They are meant to hold it together and give support. So I say that to
Let the church say
say amen. I say this to say
amen.
that our friends, we need to let our friends and families and veterans out there, let your friends and families in um what's going on emotionally with you so they can better support you in the things that you need. You may not right away know where to go to get the resources that you need, but if you have those friends and families who are in tune with you and know that your background is PTSD, TBI, you, whatever it is that's been transcending in your life after the military, give them the opportunity to help you. Give them the
Yes.
opportunity to look for those resources for you because they may not have been in the war with you, but they are in the war with you.
With you.
Okay, and they are
Absolutely.
here to help in every way
Girl, you
possible.
see
Girl,
that?
you're
I,
carrying them, and
I,
and they and they want to be with you in every step of the way. And when we feel overwhelmed and just overburdened with the emotion of it all, you
yes.
know, that's where our friends and families can come in and be like, hold on one second. Let me take this for you. Let me carry this bit of this burden for you, and let me
Wow.
look into it. Let me research it for you so I can get you where you gotta go. So that's my no good and no better for this
That was
episode.
beautiful. I like that no good, no better. And if you've been following us, and this is our third episode, after no good, no better, it's my quote of the
Quote.
day.
Ding, ding, ding,
My
ding, ding,
quote
ding, ding.
And again, I always say this, the quote could be just something randomly that I say, or it could be something that ties into what we were talking about today. And like I said, I put sometimes a lot of thought into this stuff. I don't want to just give you guys anything. I want everything to tie itself together in some
Mhm.
sort of fast, like with a nice little bow. Boom, a nice little bow at the end. So I think a good quote for today would be slow progress is better than no progress.
How about that for a quote? Yes.
Slow progress is better than no
No progress.
progress.
Ding,
And we
ding,
are
ding, ding.
going to leave you with that quote today. So thank you guys again
Ho-
for
We hope
listening.
you enjoyed
We
these
do
last
hope
three
you.
podcasts. We
Thank
hope
you.
you enjoyed the podcast, period.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
And we will see you next time on
Next time.
Bet
That on
on
this.
this or that.
You
Bye,
guys be great.
guys.
Have a great one.
Thank
Bye.
you.